Your mindset is the silent architect of your life, the invisible force shaping how you see challenges, how you respond to failure, how you interpret success, and ultimately how far you are willing to go. Long before results appear in the outer world, they are forming in the inner world of thoughts, beliefs, and daily decisions that seem small in the moment but compound over time into extraordinary outcomes or quiet regrets. And a difference between those two futures is rarely talent or luck, but the quality of the mindset you choose to cultivate every single day. Because a powerful mindset understands that circumstances do not define destiny, that setbacks are not signals to stop, but invitations to grow stronger, wiser, and more disciplined, and that growth is not a comfortable process, but a deliberate one, where discomfort becomes evidence of expansion rather than proof of limitation. When you adopt a growth-oriented mindset, you begin to see effort not as punishment, but as investment, criticism not as attack, but as information, and failure not as identity, but as feedback. And this shift changes everything, because instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You begin to ask, what is this teaching me? And that single question turns obstacles into stepping stones, transforming frustration into fuel, turning doubt into determination, and slowly building resilience that cannot be shaken by temporary storms. Resilience itself is not loud or dramatic. It is quiet and consistent, built in moments when no one is watching, when you decide to keep going despite fatigue, to stay disciplined despite distraction, to choose long-term vision over short-term comfort. And these micro-decisions accumulate like drops of water shaping stone, carving a stronger character over time. Because mindset is not formed in grand speeches or sudden breakthroughs, but in repeated daily choices, and how you speak to yourself when you make a mistake, and whether you allow negative self-talk to become your internal narrator, or whether you consciously rewrite that script with encouragement, accountability, and belief, understanding that your inner dialogue sets the tone for your external performance. The mind believes what it hears most often, so if you constantly tell yourself that you are not capable, not ready, not talented enough, your actions will unconsciously align with that belief. But if you choose to repeat that you are learning, improving, and capable of growth, your behavior will begin to rise to match that narrative, because identity drives action, and action shapes results, and results reinforce identity in a powerful cycle that can either trap you or elevate you depending on the story you choose to live by. Discipline plays a crucial role in this transformation because motivation is emotional and temporary, while discipline is structural and reliable. And a strong mindset understands that waiting to feel inspired is a dangerous strategy. Instead, building habits that function regardless of mood, creating routines that support progress even on difficult days, recognizing that consistency outweighs intensity, and that small daily improvements sustained over months and years outperform occasional bursts of effort that quickly fade. And this awareness fosters patience, a quality often overlooked in a world obsessed with speed. Yet patience is the foundation of mastery, allowing skills to develop, confidence to solidify, and vision to mature without the pressure of instant validation. Comparison, however, threatens this patience by shifting focus outward, tempting you to measure your chapter 1 against someone else's chapter 20. But a healthy mindset resists this trap, understanding that every journey unfolds at its own pace, that progress is personal, and that the only meaningful comparison is between who you were yesterday and who you are today. Because growth is not a competition, but a commitment. And when you internalize this truth, you free yourself from unnecessary anxiety, redirecting energy towards self-improvement rather than self-judgment. Fear will inevitably appear along the way. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of uncertainty. Yet mindset determines whether fear becomes a barrier or a compass, because fear often points toward areas of growth, signaling where courage is required. And courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it, to move forward even when outcomes are not guaranteed, trusting that action creates clarity, and that clarity builds confidence, reinforcing the belief that you are stronger than your doubts. And as you accumulate evidence of your own resilience, your mindset becomes more stable, less reactive, more focused on solutions than problems. Gratitude further strengthens this foundation by shifting attention from scarcity to abundance, reminding you of resources, opportunities, and support already present in your life, creating emotional balance that prevents ambition from turning into dissatisfaction. Because a powerful mindset balances hunger for growth with appreciation for progress, celebrating milestones without becoming complacent, striving for excellence without losing joy in the process. Self-awareness also plays a central role, as it allows you to identify limiting beliefs inherited from past experiences, societal expectations, or moments of failure. And instead of unconsciously operating under those assumptions, you examine them, challenge them, and replace them with empowering alternatives, recognizing that beliefs are not permanent truths, but interpretations that can be updated as you evolve. And this flexibility prevents stagnation, keeping your mindset adaptive and open to new possibilities. Visualization becomes a practical tool within this framework, not as fantasy, but as rehearsal, training your brain to see success as familiar rather than foreign, increasing confidence and reducing hesitation, because the mind responds to repeated images and emotions. And when you consistently picture yourself executing with focus and composure, you condition your nervous system to align with that expectation, making performance more natural when opportunities arise. Environment also influences mindset profoundly, as the people you surround yourself with, the content you consume, and the conversations you engage in either reinforce growth or amplify limitation. And a deliberate mindset curates its environment intentionally, seeking relationships that challenge and support, information that educates and inspires, and spaces that encourage focus rather than distraction. Understanding that while you cannot control every external factor, you can control many of the inputs shaping your thinking. Responsibility is another defining characteristic of a strong mindset, as it replaces blame with ownership, recognizing that while not everything is your fault, your response is always your responsibility. And this perspective restores power, because when you accept ownership, you reclaim influence, turning passive frustration into proactive problem solving. And this shift accelerates progress more than any external advantage ever could. Setbacks will still occur, plans will fail, expectations will sometimes collapse. Yet with a resilient mindset, you learn to separate events from identity, understanding that a failed attempt does not equal a failed person, that mistakes are moments in time rather than permanent labels. And this distinction preserves confidence during adversity, allowing you to analyze what went wrong, adjust strategy, and try again without internalizing defeat. Over time, this pattern builds mental toughness, not through suppression of emotion, but through healthy processing of it, acknowledging disappointment without surrendering to it, feeling doubt without being defined by it, and choosing action aligned with long-term goals rather than short-term emotion. Because maturity in mindset is not about ignoring feelings, but managing them effectively. As your mindset strengthens, your standards naturally rise. You begin to demand more from yourself, not out of self-criticism, but self-respect, understanding that potential unused becomes regret, and that comfort zones, while safe, rarely lead to fulfillment. So you intentionally expand them, taking calculated risks, learning new skills, embracing constructive feedback, and pursuing opportunities aligned with your vision even when they require sacrifice, because you understand that meaningful achievements often require temporary discomfort. Clarity of vision further sharpens mindset by providing direction, ensuring that effort is not scattered but focused, that daily actions connect to larger purpose, and when purpose is clear, motivation becomes deeper and more sustainable because you are not simply chasing results, but fulfilling a mission that resonates with your values, creating alignment between who you are and what you pursue. This alignment reduces internal conflict, increasing energy and confidence, reinforcing the belief that you are capable of shaping your future intentionally, rather than drifting passively through circumstances. Ultimately, mindset is both the starting point and the sustaining force of transformation. It is the lens through which you interpret reality and the engine driving your response to it. And while external conditions will fluctuate, your internal framework can remain steady, adaptable, and growth-oriented if you nurture it daily through intentional thoughts, disciplined actions, continuous learning, gratitude, resilience, and unwavering belief in your ability to evolve. Because the most powerful shift you can ever make is the realization that your mind is not a fixed trait, but a trainable asset. And once you accept that responsibility, you step into a new level of control over your life, where challenges become training grounds, failures become lessons, effort becomes identity, and progress becomes inevitable, not because the path is easy, but because your mindset refuses to surrender, choosing growth over comfort, courage over fear, ownership over blame, and persistence over doubt, again and again, until the person you once hoped to become is no longer a distant vision, but the natural outcome of the mindset you consistently practice every single day.